Hi, this is Gail or Mima. I'm continuing of Ruby's story, my mom's story, and I just want to say that my mother and father left Georgia, headed to New York for a better way of life, which I think that's what they found compared to what they were dealing with in Georgia. And my mother and father had 8 children. Um, my mother, even though she worked for white folks in Georgia, yes, she continued to work for white folks when she came to New York. Actually, she worked for Jewish people. She took care of them. She also cleaned for them. And uh, my father had various jobs, and uh, they took care of us and guided us. And as I got a little older in my once I got in my teens, my mother guided me and she asked me if I wanted to do some of the work that she was doing, if I was interested, and I did. And I also helped her with taking care of a Jewish woman and being there for an elderly Jewish woman who needed just someone to be there with her, excuse me, to care for her, to um, feed her, cook for her, clean for her. And so I got a real insight on what my mother was actually doing for folks. But being of that generation, uh, being born in the 60s and seeing the opportunities that was out there for us, excuse me, that my parents didn't have as many of the opportunity that we had for people in my generation. And what we were the go-getters because we saw the change. We knew what our parents were going through or what they went through in the past. And then here we are, and we're like, wait a minute, wait. We don't have to do those things that you did and work like our parents did. So we were the go-getters to say, oh, wait, there's opportunity. Here's a better opportunity. We could do this. Here's a better opportunity. We could do that. So, mom and dad, we don't need to sit there and work that physical labor so hard that they had to do, which is what they knew, which was what was embedded in them. So, growing up, uh, I learned, with the typing in high school and secretarial, going to secretarial school and saying, you know what, yeah, so I could use my fingers, I could use my brains a little bit here, so here and there. So we had that. We are the generation of the go-getters only because we saw that change of what our parents went through that didn't have that opportunity to move quite as fast as we did during our time. So, but I do thank my mother for showing me that, yeah, you could make money here, doing this. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, that's what you do. But okay, let me try to find something more satisfying for me. My father wanted me to work with his company, and he worked, well, not that he owned it, but he worked for a railroad company. He wanted me to apply for a job there and put in your 30 years and get a retirement. And I was like, Dad, I love you, but I can't do it. I can't do it. I do not want to devote and make that promise that I'm going to, go work for someone for 30 years so I can retire and get some money coming to me for retirement. No, I think I'll be okay. He was very disappointed at first, but as he saw me trying to strive and move forward and do more for me, I think he was um, pleased, and he was happy for me to see me moving on and trying to do more for myself and not work for someone else. And I thank God for that. I know my mother was happy also. Um, when I decided to leave New York, where I was born and raised, finally move further south, um, I got married, I moved, I bought homes, multiple homes. I opened a business. Uh, and when I say I mean we, me and my husband. So as my parents saw that I was moving on and just doing for me and my family, I think they were very pleased and happy and glad to see that, their one of their children have decided to just say, you know what, no, I'm going to do it my way. I thank you for teaching me your way and showing me your way, but I'm going to do it my way. And I think that my parents were pleased with that. Um, 1 year from moving and leaving New York, my mother passed away. And that was hardest, the hardest thing to deal with. I never lost someone that was so close and meant so much to me until my mother passed away. And being in another state where she lived, uh, it made it difficult, but I think it was even more difficult for my siblings because they were there. They were there in New York with her. So being there, I think, was a lot tougher than me being in a different state because I didn't have that surrounding and I didn't have that memory, the memory of where she was and where she sat. And not that I didn't remember where she sat, but I didn't have the visual in my face. So, um, but it was kind of lonely for me as far as dealing with her loss and having no siblings around me. So dealing with it pretty much by myself. I dealt with it with my husband and my children, but it wasn't the same because I had memories of my mother that they couldn't share with me. They didn't experience with me. Um, and to tell the truth, I couldn't understand it, and I couldn't understand God, and I couldn't understand that type of pain. And oh, how could life be so that you could come and feel so low and so painful and so hurtful in life? How could this be a part of life to feel so much pain? And I couldn't understand that. But as time went on, I just tried to deal with it and cope with it. And I did. My mother was always a beautiful person, never wanted to hurt no one, always kept to her family. I'm not going to say kept to herself, but kept to her family. She was not the type that would go out and had a girlfriend here and a girlfriend there. No, she had her children, she had her daughters, she had her sons, she had her spouse, she had her cousins, she had her extended family, and that's where she kept it. And I thank God for that. And I think that kind of grew on me because even though I moved away from my siblings, it's still me, my husband, my children. It's extended family when I uh, want to reach out to them and spend time with them. And if I choose not to, I don't. But I want to thank my mom and I want to thank my dad for raising me, for loving me, for making me who I am today. And uh, thank you all for listening in on Ruby's story, my mom's story, and also my story on my family behalf. Thank you, and I hope you continue to listening more of Gail's thoughts. Thank you, and take care.